Hey everyone! Today we're exploring another chilling and disturbing case. If you'd like to support the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay engaged. It really means a lot. I truly appreciate it. Now, take a deep breath and let's dive in. When Jessica Holloway died in a tragic fall while 7 months pregnant, her husband Marcus was inconsolable, or so it seemed. But just weeks later, he made a late-night visit to her grave and uncovered something so horrifying it would turn her death from a tragedy into a criminal investigation, because Jessica's body was still in the casket, but her baby was gone. Jessica Holloway, 29, was a devoted wife, a stay-at-home mom to a 3-year-old daughter, and excited to welcome her second child. She was known for her gentle nature, sunny personality, and deep commitment to family. But in the final weeks of her life, those closest to her noticed something was off. She seemed anxious, distracted, and more than once, she whispered to her sister, "If something happens to me, don't trust Marcus." Marcus Holloway, her husband of 6 years, worked in finance and lived what looked like an upper-middle-class life. But behind the clean-cut image, Marcus was hiding something dark. Police would later discover deleted messages from an encrypted app, transfers of large sums of money, and secret meetings with a woman named Talia Greene, a NICU nurse with a tragic past and a desperate longing to be a mother. Marcus had been cheating on Jessica for over a year. His mistress, Talia, was unable to have children of her own due to complications from a prior surgery. Together, they began plotting a way to start fresh, with a baby of their own, Jessica's baby. And there was something else. Marcus had taken out a $500,000 life insurance policy on Jessica just 5 months before her death. On a stormy evening, Marcus called 911 in tears, claiming Jessica had fallen down the stairs. By the time paramedics arrived, Jessica was unconscious and barely breathing. She was pronounced dead at the hospital, along with her unborn son. The fall was ruled accidental. The funeral was held days later. Jessica was buried in a white gown, with her baby still inside her womb. Or so everyone thought. 2 weeks later, cemetery groundskeepers reported something strange. Jessica's grave had been disturbed. Police opened the casket and were horrified to discover that her body was intact, but her abdomen had been surgically opened, her unborn child gone. Security footage from a nearby mausoleum showed Marcus sneaking into the cemetery just 3 nights before. He had dug up his wife's grave. He had removed the baby, and authorities suspected the child might still be alive. Police raided an apartment registered to Talia Greene. Inside, they found a hidden nursery, bloodied surgical tools, baby formula and diapers, and a handwritten journal with entries like, "Our son is finally here. No one will take him from me now." DNA results from a hair found in the crib confirmed it was Marcus's child, but the baby himself was nowhere to be found. Then one anonymous tip changed everything. A woman called 911, claiming she'd seen a baby matching the description in the basement of a remote cabin outside town. She said she heard crying, and she wasn't alone in that cabin. She said there was a third person involved, and it wasn't Marcus or Talia, but someone from Jessica's own family. Who was the third accomplice? And is the baby still alive? Armed with the anonymous tip, officers descended on an isolated cabin hidden deep in the woods, 40 miles from Holloway's home. Inside, they found signs of recent activity: a half-emptied baby bottle, a soiled diaper in a trash can, and a small crib, still warm. But the baby, and whoever had been caring for him, was gone. Then, in the corner of the room, hidden beneath a floorboard, they found something that changed the case forever: a photo album labeled "Our New Beginning." Inside were printed photos of a newborn baby being held by Talia, and next to her, smiling, was Jessica's sister, Rachel. Rachel Holloway had been the one person Jessica truly trusted. She had comforted her during pregnancy, even moved in temporarily to help around the house. Now, she was a prime suspect. Authorities reviewed phone records and uncovered late-night calls between Rachel and Marcus. Just days before Jessica's death, texts between Rachel and Talia suggested an even darker motive. She never deserved that baby. Will give him a better life. I'm done being forgotten, sister. Rachel had always lived in Jessica's shadow. Jessica was a favorite child, the successful one, the perfect wife and mom. Rachel, on the other hand, struggled financially, had multiple failed relationships, and no children of her own. It wasn't just envy. It was hatred, deep enough to betray her own blood. Marcus was arrested for conspiracy to commit murder, tampering with a corpse, and kidnapping. Under interrogation, he cracked. He admitted to drugging Jessica the night she died. Talia, a trained nurse, performed a crude emergency C-section in secret after Jessica was buried. Rachel's role? She provided access to Jessica's prenatal records and had agreed to raise the baby with Talia if Marcus went to prison. But here's where things took a chilling turn. Talia went rogue. She vanished with the baby, cutting off all contact, even with Rachel. She left behind only one note. He's mine now. No one else will ever have him. The FBI has now issued an Amber Alert. Talia Greene is officially a fugitive and believed to be armed, unstable, and possibly dangerous to the child. A gas station clerk in Oregon recently claimed she saw a woman matching Talia's description, carrying an infant with a bandaged torso. And the scariest part? The baby hasn't been to any hospital. He may be injured and without medical attention. Authorities fear time is running out. Will they find the baby before it's too late? And what really happened during the night Jessica died? The last confirmed sighting of Talia Greene came from a gas station in rural Oregon, nearly 1,000 miles from the original crime scene. The clerk described her as disoriented, paranoid, and carrying a baby wrapped in a towel with visible blood stains. Talia paid in cash. No license plate was recorded, and just like that, she was gone. The FBI launched a nationwide manhunt. They released Talia's photo, age, and physical description, along with an Amber Alert for baby Noah Holloway. But days passed, then weeks, and there was no sign of either of them. The case was on the brink of going cold, until a strange package arrived at the home of Jessica's parents. Inside, a single baby sock, a photo of a newborn, taken in a motel bathroom mirror, and a note that read, "He's alive, but he's not yours anymore." The letter was signed, "The Real Mother." Psychologists were brought in to analyze Talia's mental state. Her journal entries suggested a disturbing pattern of obsession and detachment from reality. Jessica was just a carrier. I was meant to be his mother all along. He recognizes me. He cries when I'm gone. He's mine. Experts concluded Talia was experiencing severe delusional disorder, possibly postpartum psychosis, despite not having given birth herself. But there was a bigger fear. If the baby developed medical issues, Talia might refuse to take him to a hospital out of fear of being caught. Without treatment, he might not survive. Investigators traced the baby sock and photograph back to a photo printing kiosk at a Walmart in Missoula, Montana. Surveillance footage confirmed it. Talia had printed the photo alone, with the baby tucked in a sling. But there was something else. She was spotted meeting someone in the parking lot. The man was later identified as Dr. Colin Mercer, a former OB-GYN whose medical license was revoked after multiple misconduct allegations. He was arrested 2 years ago for running an unlicensed underground fertility clinic. And worse, he once worked at the same hospital as Talia Greene. Could she have turned to him for help treating the baby? And if so, what was he doing to that child behind closed doors? Authorities raided Dr. Mercer's known residence, expecting to find the baby, but instead they found something else. In a locked room beneath the floorboards, they discovered baby clothes, infant toys, a crib nailed shut from the outside, and on the wall, written in red marker, "Do not open until he's clean." But the room was empty. No baby, no Talia, no trace. Only one thing was left behind. A tiny, blood-smeared bracelet tag from the hospital the baby was supposed to be born in, with Jessica Holloway's name scratched out and Talia's name written over it. Where's the baby now? And how far will Talia go to keep him? Investigators interrogated Dr. Mercer for 12 hours. At first, he claimed to know nothing, but eventually he cracked. He admitted Talia brought the baby to him 5 days after the grave robbery. The infant was severely dehydrated, had a partially healed surgical wound, and had never been properly fed. Mercer stabilized the baby, but what he said next chilled detectives to the bone. She didn't want him treated. She wanted him reborn. Talia believed the baby had to undergo some kind of cleansing ritual to remove Jessica's spirit from him. She insisted on renaming him Ezekiel, a name she had tattooed on her wrist 2 weeks before Jessica died. Digging into Mercer's past, authorities discovered he had helped at least 3 other women with unlicensed fertility procedures, most of whom had suffered tragic losses. But one name stood out: Monica Avery, a woman who vanished 2 years ago after her stillborn baby was taken from a hospital morgue and never recovered. Mercer had been the attending doctor. Now, investigators believe Mercer and Talia may have been part of a network of desperate women, and possibly a cult-like ring centered around stolen infants, rituals, and motherhood obsessions. Mercer confessed that Talia left his care with a baby, but she wasn't alone. She was picked up by a woman in a black van, whose face was never shown on camera. Mercer only knew her name, Mother Isa. Who is Mother Isa? Authorities trace a name to Isadora Pierce, a midwife turned mystic healer with a massive online following and a trail of medical violations. She once claimed that motherhood isn't about birth, it's about claiming. And in a 2021 live stream, she made a chilling statement. Sometimes a soul is born of the wrong womb. We just correct it. Isadora disappeared from the public eye in 2023 after being investigated for baby trafficking. And now, her name surfaces again. Phone pings tracked a burner phone linked to Talia to a remote compound in the mountains of Idaho, property owned by a private spiritual collective. When agents arrived, the compound was empty, abandoned food, freshly burned documents. But in the ashes, they found a scorched photo. It showed Talia holding baby Ezekiel, surrounded by 5 other women in ceremonial robes. Then another tip came in. A hiker discovered a small white bundle deep in the forest near the compound. Inside, a torn onesie, a hospital pacifier, and a scrap of paper with smeared ink that read, "He's not breathing." Rescue teams and cadaver dogs are now scouring the woods. Is the baby dead, or was this a distraction to throw them off? Because late that same night, a woman matching Talia's description was seen boarding a ferry with a baby strapped to her chest, wrapped entirely in red. Surveillance footage from a ferry terminal showed Talia Greene, wearing a blonde wig and sunglasses, holding what appeared to be a newborn. She bought a one-way ticket to Whidbey Island, Washington, a quiet, rural area with thick forests and almost no surveillance. But something caught agents' attention. When the ferry docked, Talia got off alone. No baby in sight. No baby carrier. No red blanket. She looked calm, detached, almost empty. Dogs were brought in to sweep the ferry. And in a locked bathroom stall under the sink, they found a torn scrap of red fabric soaked in blood. But no baby. A week later, a break came from a delivery driver. He reported a strange, off-the-grid house tucked deep in the woods of Whidbey Island. He said he was delivering formula, diapers, and animal blood. When asked who ordered it, he only remembered the name, ISAM. Agents arrived within 48 hours and surrounded the home. Inside they found a nursery with no windows, dozens of lit candles surrounding a small crib, and strange symbols written in ash on the walls. In the crib was a baby doll, wrapped in red cloth, cradling a framed photo of Talia. But the house was empty again. No sign of Isa. No Talia. No baby. Only a single note on the crib pillow, written in charcoal. He is reborn. He is no longer yours. Authorities widened the search, working under the theory that Mother Isa was leading a mobile, underground collective of women who believed in spiritual transfers of motherhood, stealing children from grieving families and claiming them through ritual. But then another body turned up. This time, it was Rachel Holloway, Jessica's sister and one of the original co-conspirators. She was found dead in a motel bathtub, wrist slit, a suicide note floating nearby. But here's the chilling part. The note didn't read like a confession. It read like a warning. We thought we were in control. We were wrong. Talia answers to her, but even she doesn't know what ISA truly wants. and beside the tub was a single item, a blood-soaked pacifier, engraved with the name Ezekiel. Now, agents believe the baby may have been taken out of the country. An informant in British Columbia claims he treated a woman who fit Talia's description, severely malnourished, paranoid, carrying a baby who wouldn't stop screaming. He said she kept repeating the same phrase over and over. His soul isn't clean yet. ISA said the final ritual must be done at the lake. Which lake? When? And is the baby still alive? One thing is clear. They're running out of time. A tip from a Canadian medical worker led investigators to the edge of Shuswap Lake in British Columbia, an isolated, fog-covered area with dense woods, no cameras, and rumored ties to underground spiritual communities. A local hiker told authorities he saw a group of women wearing red robes, chanting near the lake just days earlier. They were holding candles, and in the center of the circle was a woman cradling a screaming infant. The hiker thought it was a weird ceremony and left. But when he saw the Amber Alert photo of baby Ezekiel days later, he called the police. By the time officers arrived, the site was abandoned. Only ashes remained, and a small stone altar sat at the edge of the water, stained with something dark and red. On the altar, investigators found a burned baby blanket, a doll with a missing head, and a page torn from a notebook with strange drawings of a woman giving birth underwater, written across the top in jagged handwriting. Water washes away the past. The real mother rises from the lake. Psychological profilers now believe Mother ISA was planning a water-based rebirthing ritual, one that involved submerging the baby in the freezing lake to symbolically cleanse him of his biological ties. But there's more. A hidden drive was recovered from Rachel Holloway's apartment weeks earlier. Authorities finally cracked its encryption. On it were videos, dozens of them, footage of ritual practices, chanting, and even infant handling procedures. But one file was different. It was titled The Offering, and in the video, Talia is seen standing waist-deep in a dark lake, holding a bundled infant. Mother ISA stand behind her, whispering something, and then the video cuts to black. Investigators thought the worst, until a shocking twist occurred. In a rural First Nations village miles upriver from Shuswap Lake, a child was found crying on a dock, alone, cold, and wrapped in a red ceremonial cloth. He was alive. A quick DNA test confirmed it. The baby was Ezekiel. But what should have been a moment of celebration turned haunting. The child was nearly catatonic. He wouldn't blink, wouldn't cry, wouldn't make a sound. Doctors said he had no signs of physical trauma, but something was wrong. The only thing the baby responded to was a whisper, one word, repeated over and over. ISA. Talia Greene is still missing. Mother ISA is still out there. And according to GPS data from the abandoned compound, they're heading south, across the border, possibly to Mexico. And worse, Interpol has now flagged a series of infant disappearances in 3 countries, all involving women who once followed ISA's teachings. Was Ezekiel just one of many, or is he something else entirely? Interpol flagged ISA's name in a recent investigation spanning multiple countries. Guatemala, a newborn stolen from a birthing center. Portugal, a midwife disappears with an infant after a water baptism. Arizona, a woman found wandering the desert, mumbling about offering her child to the mother. Each case shared one link. A symbol, a circle wrapped in thorns, found either carved, painted, or burned into the scene. This symbol was also discovered beneath the altar at Shuswap Lake, and in the tattoo on Talia Greene's back. Something no one noticed until after she disappeared. 2 weeks after Ezekiel was recovered, a call came in from a fishing village near the Baja Peninsula in Mexico. A woman had arrived in the town's port at sunrise. She was barefoot, her dress soaked in salt water, carrying a suitcase full of white baby gowns, and nothing else. She was asking for the river cave. Locals said she was with another woman who barely spoke. Both disappeared into the hills by nightfall. The next morning, fishermen discovered something horrifying. A floating crate sealed with wax and rope, drifting near the mangroves. Inside were 4 baby dolls, wrapped in soaked red cloth. Each had a tag: Zion, Ezekiel, Maria, Selah, One of those names, Ezekiel, had already been taken. Were the others next in line? Investigators finally cracked the real identity of Mother ISA. Her name, Isadora Malin Pierce, a former midwife and doula. She was once lauded for her advocacy of home births, until 2 infants died under her care. She lost her license in 2014. That's when she vanished and resurfaced with a new identity, new followers, and a mission to liberate souls from unfit mothers and place them into chosen vessels. Her core belief? Life begins not at birth, but at belonging. The cult isn't just a twisted family. It's a system, a pipeline, and possibly still active across 3 continents. Talia Greene's body was found near a dry riverbed in Oaxaca, Mexico, dead from an apparent overdose. But nearby, scratched into the sand, was a final message. She took him back. I wasn't the chosen one. But here's the twist. Authorities confirmed the baby found at the lake, the one believed to be Ezekiel, is not a DNA match for Jessica Holloway. He's someone else's child, which means Jessica's real baby is still missing. And ISA, she may still be out there, raising him as her own. Jessica's family was told they had closure, but they were handed a lie. A baby was returned, but not their baby. And somewhere out there, a child born from betrayal, murder, and obsession is being raised by the woman who believes she is his mother. A woman known only as the mother of many. What are your thoughts on this case? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay updated with more stories, where each case isn't just about crime, but also offers a lesson for life.